Yo, this is Joel Davis,
And I'm Gracie Davis,
and this is Greater Than Real Estate.
where we go deep to find out who you really are beyond real estate. All right. Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you and just get to learn more about you. Everybody, this is Devi, and she is a realtor that I have worked with for several years now and met a few years ago. And we're just really excited to get to know her and share her story. So I'll let you take the floor and just start by telling us who you are, where you grew up, and how you got into the real estate industry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Devi Ivory. I am the owner of Devi Ivory Homes, LLC, and also Divine Realty Group. So thank you guys for having me here. I'm so excited, Gracie and Joel. So thank you for having me today.
Yeah.
This industry is, like my baby. And I'm very passionate about what I do. I've been doing it for about 6 years. Hopefully, my husband joins me in the future because I plan to do this for the rest of my life. And real estate is a passion of mine. I really enjoy what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I actually met you through Amanda, through Goosehead Insurance. And she said, hey, Gracie, you can count on her. She will take care of you. And so I haven't looked back since, with our partnership. And so it's been great.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. So are you originally from Texas? Are you born and raised here? Where did you go to college? Kind of give us a little background on that.
Yes, so I'm from El Dorado, Arkansas. It's a small town, maybe 15,000 people or less, something of that sort. And that's where I went to high school. I went to University of Central Arkansas for college. I studied PR and marketing. And I was president of several different organizations on campus. I was always in the marketing world, but my main major was public relations. So, go Bears.
Go Bears. So you got your degree in PR and marketing. Did you go straight into real estate, or what got you into real estate? Did you have a job before that?
So it's pretty crazy. I was a bartender and a server most of my college career. And I really came from humble beginnings. So I really didn't have a lot of resources to get to where I am today. So I had to pretty much hustle throughout college while I was president of different organizations. Sometimes I had 2 to 3 jobs. I worked at Target. I worked at a funeral home. I was just doing different things because I had to pay my bills. There was no one. I didn't have the situation where my parents pay for my tuition. I'm literally paying all my bills. And I was like, this is not going to be me as far as being a college student that sticks around after college. I had to find a plan. And so I did gather a plan to come to Dallas. It was one of those things where I was supposed to be in Dallas for only 1 year. I was going to go to LA and go to New York Film Academy, but I fell in love and moved to Dallas and just stayed here ever since. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you mentioned you're married.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you met your husband and where you mentioned also that hopefully he joins you in real estate. So what are kind of y'all's goals or thoughts there?
Yes, so we met in college, never dated in college. It was so weird. We start dating a week before my graduation.
Was he your best friend?
So no, it was one of those things where we knew each other. He was popular on campus. I was popular on campus. And we just like, hey, how you doing? It was one of those things. And he reached out to me to do some skits because he was going viral on Facebook. And that's kind of how we start coming together. Like he knew I wanted to do acting, and we knew a few people on campus that were doing like short films. And so we were like, okay, let's do some skits. At that time, back in 2017, 2016, a lot of people was doing those couple skits and, those random things. And we did that together, and we didn't really see each other as far as dating. But as time progressed, our love grew. And so we just started dating, and it just went from there. Fast forward to us moving to Dallas. I got into real estate a couple years after working at Bank of America. I quit that job due to I wasn't really built for the corporate world. And so I told him, I said, hey, I really want to do something that I'm passionate about. And he fully supported me. And so I haven't looked back. I've been doing it for 6 years. And I always say I would love for him to join me because I really feel like we'll be a power team for sure.
Yeah. So whenever you first got into the industry, was there somebody that had influenced you to get into real estate, or a mentor, or how did you even, figure out that would be a good path for you?
So, funny story. My father actually, I wasn't raised with my dad, but he was always pretty much there as far as on a communication level. So, my dad went to prison for he was in prison most of my years growing up, and so when he was in prison, he used to write me these letters. You're going to go to Harvard. You're going to be successful. And I thought all these things. I'm like, I'm going to be the best. When he get out, we're going to live together, But unfortunately, it didn't work that way. And so what happened was when he got out of prison, I was still in Arkansas. My dad has like 15 children, right? So
wow.
I have siblings all over the country. Yeah. I'm getting to a point. So when he, when he got out of prison, he moved to Houston. And he started doing a lot of mortgage deals, and he became a millionaire. Yes, but the thing is, he did some things he wasn't proud of. He was part of. You've all watched like the movie Big Short, where they were just getting people in houses and wasn't paying the mortgage, and they're taking out the equity line of credit in the homes. It was a whole scheme, and so. He did some things of that nature, and but when I say my dad is one of the smartest people I've ever met, and he used to show me his checks. Like if I go visit him in Houston, like this is what I'm bringing, and I'm like, that's like a $15,000 check. Where I'm from, living with my mom, we were on welfare. We were on Section 8, and I didn't understand that type of money. And so he said, I do this by real estate. And all I knew, he used to wear suits and, be gone most of the day. And so as I got older, he started to tell me certain things. And he instilled in me, hey, listen, I may have not was physically there to raise you, but if you listen to me, I'll make you a millionaire. And we've always talked about me doing everything the legal way. He knows I do everything legal.
Yeah.
I stand behind my reputation.
Yeah.
But, some of the people that have been millionaires, if they did it right or wrong, it doesn't mean you can't learn anything from them.
Yeah.
For sure.
So he's been a heavy influence on my life. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think you got your hard work ethic from?
Man, I would say seeing my grandmother on drugs and my grandfather being an alcoholic and them raising pretty much all of us. And, our parents, I believe our parents, their generation was just a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think the generation of our parents, and I can't just speak for everyone, but a lot of my peers, their parents and our parents, they had two parent households versus that next generation. It was more so like the single mothers. And basically I saw my mom struggle, but it wasn't like she didn't want to parent me, but it was like she didn't really know how, because I don't know if it was because they were spoiled, they had two parents and they just put everything off on the grandparents. But I saw my grandmother do drugs. I saw my grandfather being an alcoholic, and basically I saw poverty all around me. I used to go to school with roaches in my backpack and be embarrassed. I used to literally like get picked on. Like I used to beg for like $1, like to get some food out the vending machine. Like even with my mom, like she was so heavily invested in the church where sometimes she wouldn't cook. I would literally have to fend for myself. I even remember just trying to find nickels and dimes around the house to go get me a Wendy's burger, and I will walk a mile down the street to go get that. So my hard work comes from, I would never, ever want to ever live like that again. And so I strive my hardest. And some people like, why are you going so hard? Because for one, you know, my parents may have not done the best, but I want to one day buy them a home. One day I want to get my grandparents their dream home. Even though it was some bad situations that I saw, I definitely want to be able to take care of my family for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned at home, how many siblings did you have at home that like you were raised with?
So me and my mom, it was just me for 13 years. And then I have one brother. He is 17. He'll be 18 in August. So basically, I consider him like my child almost because I had to basically raise him, and I do a lot for him. But the rest of my siblings, they've been spread it out between Oklahoma, Texas, Ohio, the DMV, Virginia area. So we all just kind of, you know, I just met one of my brothers a few weeks ago, and he's 17, and it was our first time meeting. So, some of us, we just met throughout different years growing up. Yeah.
So what is one thing that you would tell your younger brother or any of your siblings just about what you've learned and how you really want to help them get to the point where you're at, where they know they can take care of themselves? Would you give them any advice based off of everything that you've been through?
I would say never stop working, never stop grinding, never stop networking, because you cannot depend on anybody. And and you know, you can think you can depend on people, but that's a hard assumption to have. And so you really have to, if the world stops today, if everyone around you dies or something happens, you have to be able to have some type of work ethic. And a lot of times I see, especially with the younger generation, they say, oh, you know, I want to invest in stocks. I want to do this because they see everything on social media. But you don't know that takes money to do that. It takes you to go networking. It takes certain things for you to have those things. And so for my younger siblings, I like to tell them, no one owes you anything. And a lot of people, especially older people, they think you owe them something. And I don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. And if I want certain things in my life, I have to go get it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
awesome. I think that's one of the best stories that we've heard. And that's just so cool that you've been able to push through all that adversity. And for me, I have friends that have grown up and gone through stuff like that. Do you feel like it's a choice on once you go through that to either stay in that life or choose to, you know, level yourself up and go nowhere near it?
It's definitely a choice. I have so many people I grew up with that, I mean, they're on like drugs. They are, I mean, they're in some situations where I'm like, man, I cannot believe I grew up with you. And so it's definitely a choice. But a lot of people say, well, I didn't have the opportunities to, you know, go to college or this and that. I didn't have the best of grades. But somehow when I went to college, I was on the dean's list. Sometimes it's all about your environment. I told myself I may not have the best of grades, but I went to after school tutoring. I did so many different things I'm going to get a certain score on the ACT, so I will get accepted into college. And I'm not a school person. I hated school. But I knew that was my only way out. And so school may not be your way out. College, it may be the military. It may be some other opportunity. You may go to real estate school right out the gate. I mean, it's endless, but it's definitely your environment. Your environment will keep you trapped. And if you don't have the mindset that you want to get out of that, you're going to just continue to repeat the cycle years and years to come.
Wow. That's amazing. So since you've been in the industry, has there been anybody that has mentored you or helped you out during this time?
Man, I have to mention 3 people.
Okay.
And because these guys, when I say have done a lot for my business mentally, And I have leveled up because of them. So when I first got into business, I started with Keller Williams. And I feel like, Keller Williams, a lot of agents go there, right?
Yeah.
And so that first 2 months, I'm like, how am I going to close a deal? I got my license and, they say, go to the office. And I'm just looking around and I see some new agents. They're hopping on teams. And they said, go start interviewing. So I interviewed with Tanner Milner. I don't know if you guys know him, but Tanner, I actually got on his team and I went to the interview with him and he pranked me and said, hey, you just didn't work out for our team, And he was like, just kidding, congratulations, we love you. You did a great job. So I started on his team and the first day he just gave me the CRM. I didn't know what to do. I mean, this CRM, and I'm talking to you, Tanner, it was old. It was old database. And I was just going through it literally oh my God, these people are 2-3 years old, but I'm calling these leads. And I'm starting to get some feedback. I'm starting to get some calls back yeah, we're still looking to buy. I closed 2 deals within 1 month on his team.
Wow.
But when I got those deals, I was like, oh, wow. Being on the team in the splits, it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
So Tanner Milner, I would say he gave me my first opportunity. And to this day, we still keep in communication. He's a fix and flipper. He does a lot of deals. So I always call him and say, hey, how can I do this? Do you have an end buyer for this? So we kind of work on that aspect.
Yeah.
Cool.
My second mentor, Uncle Ronald Cooks, he's not my uncle, but we're with the same broker. Everyone calls him Uncle Ron. And when I say he's one of those individuals where if your back is against the wall and you don't know what to do, you need some wise advice, Mr. Cooks is your person.
He's the man.
Yeah, he's like, calm down. Here's a solution. Here's what you need to do. And you need people like that don't want anything from you and just hey, here's the path you take. Call me when you found the solution and let me know how it worked out. So I love him for that.
That's really cool.
And talked to him about a week ago. Joe Gonzalez, he's based out of Houston. I actually, he's still basically my mentor. He's considered my mentor coach. I paid for his coaching a couple years ago when I was trying to understand wholesaling. I said, I want to make some extra money, even though I'm still a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And so he is a realtor, but his whole business is investment. His portfolios are he working on deals that's $2 million, $5 million, $10 million deals.
Yeah.
And some of the language I don't understand, but I called him about a deal about 3 weeks ago. I said, hey, I'm thinking about making double the money on this deal. What do you think? He said, well, Devi, why don't you just, do it this way? And you can, if you buy and hold it, you can make $75,000 instead of the $12,000 you're thinking about. So he makes me think outside of the box.
Yeah.
And you need those people to, you need to be connected with people that make way more money than you to put you on a whole nother level. And you may have some solutions, but they have a whole nother answer, another route that, widens your spectrum of thinking.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. In this industry, we've really thought about just being able to surround ourselves with people that are at a level above us or multiple levels above us, because you never want to be the biggest fish in a pond. You want to be, sometimes a smaller fish in a big pond, so you can surround yourself with people that have more knowledge than you. And I think in this game, if you can treat it as just a learning experience and just continue to learn every single day, I mean, just finding the right people is key.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned the wholesaling and things like that. So explain, how did you get into that and what exactly does that mean as far as your career and everything too?
So wholesaling is essentially an off-market property where you can lock up a contract with the seller. Say, for instance, if it's a for sale by owner and they don't necessarily want to list with the listing agent and have to pay a buyer's agent. So they're like, hey, I'm not listing my property. I'm going to sell it on my own. Well, as a wholesaler, they'll go talk to those sellers and lock up that deal at a discounted price. And then they will wholesale it to an end buyer that will pay it at a premium, not necessarily at market value, but they may pay $10,000 more than what you locked it up at. So for an example, if I see a seller and they're selling a home for $150,000, well, let me see if an end buyer would pay that amount. So if they will, what if I can talk the seller down to $140K? I just made $10,000. And so those deals you can, essentially close anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And there's real estate, it's not illegal. A lot of realtors don't like dealing with wholesalers, but I think because they don't understand how to deal with wholesalers and they don't understand that nature of business, if you don't know how to work with investors, it's kind of scary. You think they're scamming you, but everything is in writing. Everything's in black and white. Now, do you have some shady wholesalers? For sure, but you have to know, what you're dealing with. You kind of have to know. You have to get a proof of funds. You have to vet these wholesalers and everything. So, but if you want to wholesale a deal yourself, you can get a tax lien list. You can get a water shutoff list and, code violation lists where these are people that are behind on certain bills. You can send them mailers and like, hey, are you looking to sell your home? I see that you're in a situation. You can look at, there's different systems to show if people are behind on their mortgage. And so those are people that, hey, let's not lose your home. Let's figure out a way. Let me offer you this and let me get it to an end buyer and let's close this deal.
Yeah. That's really cool.
That's awesome. The amount of passion I see in you is just a ton. So what makes you so passionate about real estate?
I mean, it's just ever changing. And like I had mentioned before, when I worked at Bank of America, when I first walked in there, I was like, this seems like death. It's the same routine. You see the cubicles and, I did good. I was in sales at Bank of America. Yeah. But real estate, every single deal is different. Every single deal is different. Like, I can't even count. Like, every experience, I learned something new. And so it keeps me going. It keeps me learning. I'm so passionate about it because I feel like it's my way out. It's my way to wealth. It's my way to really accomplish the goals that I want to hit in my lifetime. Yeah.
So speaking of clients and just experiences, are there any client experiences that were either really fun, really scary, or just transactions that you were like, man, I can't wait till this is over? Do you have any good client stories?
Oh, my God. So this is one deal that I will never forget. This was during COVID. Okay. And during this time, a lot of Californians and New Yorkers were coming here buying property, right?
Right.
A lot of these clients were buying property sight unseen, which was causing a lot of issues. So I had ended up getting a Facebook referral, and someone referred me to this client in Silicon Valley, California. And so this client basically started at a price point of $700,000. So I'm like, oh, I'm excited, Yeah. And we end up closing at $300,000, but this deal, it went sour real fast. This client took so much of my time. He would call me like 10 hours a day sometimes and have me running comps. I invested so much money into this client because he was looking to do a FHA 203K deal. Yep. And we were looking at multi-units. So we were looking at Highland Park. We were looking in different places in Dallas where he could acquire the property, stay in one side, rent out the other. Yeah. And so that was our goal. He ended up buying a 1 to 4 family. And so because he ended up seeing the numbers and it just wasn't working out. And so I had contractors come out. He was like, I don't want to pay them. And so I'm paying contractors like, hey, just give us a quote. I'm doing whatever I can because I want this deal to close.
Yeah.
And so now that I know better, I'm not going to, I have to see some skin in the game from the buyer.
Yeah.
But long story short, the client, we didn't do the multi-unit deal. We didn't even do a FHA 203K. It just was a simple FHA loan. And so we ended up buying around $300K. And we got under contract. I found this home. I'm doing all the virtual. We've probably seen 20, 30 properties. Me virtually touring all these properties. I begged these clients, hey, I need you to come see the property before you buy it. Even though we're going to have an inspection, we're going to do a walkthrough. I need you to come see it. And he said, hey, we had a family member pass away. I said, I understand. I will pay your plane ticket to come see it, because I was hearing horror stories and I didn't want it to happen to me, but it did happen to me. So,
oh my God.
So basically, fast forward, it was the day of closing.
Oh no.
So mind you, we had the inspection, we negotiated repairs. Everything, like I said, is in black and white. I don't do any verbal offers. I don't do any verbal repairs. Everything's in black and white. He agreed to the repairs that the owner was going to do. We did the walkthrough. They didn't see the property until 20 minutes before closing.
Oh.
And they showed up with an Amazon truck full of furniture and had somehow got access to the property, moved furniture in, got inside the property and everything. They walked through the whole house and said, you see this little bubble here? I can't raise kids. They're going to trip over it. It was just every little detail. I mean, a whole chaos. I mean, he called Trek on me, made a whole report. Of course, he didn't win because I had everything. I was protected.
Yeah.
I had every text message. I had everything. But that was a horror story because I invested a lot of time into that client.
Yeah.
And it was like a nightmare that just would not go away. And I would tell my husband, I called Uncle Ron. I said, I don't know what to. He said, Devi, you did everything you were supposed to do. And when Trek responded, they said, he doesn't even have a case. And so that was the only time that someone even went to that extent. It was ludicrous.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I just, as a realtor, you have to know when to let go of certain clients.
Yeah.
And in that preliminary stage, I should have just walked away and say, hey, I can refer you to another real estate agent that will be a better fit. Because when I see those flags now, when I'm dealing with certain clients, I'll refer them out. I won't even deal with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think we've all been through that scenario with some difficult clients or difficult loan officers, difficult real estate agents. I think something that we've really been focusing on this year is working with agents and loan officers and people that, back you up, have respect for you, and aren't going to be a bad time. Because I can imagine anytime he called at some point, your heart just dropped. You're like, what is it now?
Yes.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah. And it's like you said, there's honestly, when you get to a certain point in your career, you realize like not every deal is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say like, hey, I'm don't need to work with you on this, or maybe you need to work with somebody else, or
yes,
I don't think I can meet all of the needs that you have, so I'm going to go ahead and pass you off, or go look elsewhere. And that's been
true.
something that at the beginning of your career, you're not as likely to do that because you want
anything that breathes, you're going after.
Right. But like you said, years in, and we're about the same, length in our career, about 6 years. So once you get to that point and you realize it's not worth your time, your effort, just
your emotions.
Yes.
Your
the stress.
Oh my
the
gosh.
stress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leaving, you're losing sleep at night
Yeah.
behind those deals. Yeah.
Been there, done that. Gosh.
Yeah.
So you talk about stress. Okay. How do you handle stress in this industry? Because there is stress. We all know there is.
Yeah.
Even a good deal is stress because it's the unknown. You don't know if it's going to close or not. One of my clients, he lost a child while we were under contract.
Oh.
And they had to back out the deal. So you don't ever want to assume anything. And so it can be, and they were great clients. So with stress, that was a stressful situation because you want to hit certain numbers. And so I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to lose sleep on this. The very next day, I did get a deal, But what if I didn't get a deal? How would I handle that stress?
Right.
I go to the spa.
Oh, there we go.
The spa gets a lot of my money.
All right, so when you go spa, are we a massage girl? Are we a facial? What's your routine at the spa?
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of King Spa. Any place that has a spa with a steam room, a sauna, jacuzzi. If they have massages, I love like Swedish massages. Because, we carry a lot of tension in our shoulders and stuff like that. So I love steam rooms because it feels like everything I'm dealing with is just coming out.
Yeah.
So I love the spa. Like I go maybe 4 or 5 times a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah. But I mean, like, of course, because King Spa, it's cost effective. It's like $40.
Oh, wow.
And so instead of like going to, just a regular massage parlor where you're spending $160, that can be very expensive. So I do go to King Spa, and you can really go to each sauna room. They all do different effects on your body. So you want to try to do those type of things because I have to tap into my inner self and like, hey, I need some peace right now and just let it go. And I feel so much better once I leave. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely need to look into that membership.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does your daily routine look like? Because I know we've talked about real estate. There's so many different things that go on. So do you have a daily routine that you try to stick to, or kind of what does your day-to-day look like?
So I feel like realtors get asked this all the time. And in the beginning, you kind of have a structured schedule. And I would say for me, when I wake up, I tend to wake up anywhere from 6:30 to 7. My phone will start going off between 8 and 11, where I have to be in front of a computer because, hey, I need this, I need that. If I have a slow day, I'm picking up the phone and I'm dialing between 8 to 10. I'm calling FSBOs. I'm calling past clients that, hey, I'm thinking about buying in a year. And every morning it's not the same because like today I'm here at a podcast in the morning, and right after this I have to go to an inspection for a Section 8 client. After that I have to go show properties in Princeton, and I have a closing this afternoon. Yeah. So that's literally my day today. Yeah. But on a regular day basis, when I don't really have much on my calendar, 8 to 10 I'm on the phone. Typically, most of my calls, they'll kind of stop around 1-ish. And so between 2 and 4, I'm able to dive into my emails. I'm able to go into my transaction desk or DocuSign, things that I need to catch up on, some work and things of that nature. And then in the evening, I like to follow back up with clients. And like I said, every day it's not the same because some days I don't even have a chance to lead generate because I'm so busy. Right. But it's some days where I'm like, oh, phone's not ringing. Or next month, it's not looking so great. We're going to have to, catch up on some business. So, yeah.
So what are some ways, other than just outbound calls on like clients, what are some ways that you like get involved with your community or through social media? Like what are some ways that you market yourself and put yourself out there to be able to network and meet more people?
Yes. So social media has been a great referral source for me. Social media and also my sphere of influence. I also try to do a lot of community. I do go to a lot of Habitat for Humanity events. Sometimes I do try to go by the Chamber of Commerce in Mansfield. So I try to keep myself heavily involved. I try to network with other agents because I get a lot of business from outside agents outside of Texas. So I'm in a lot of different real estate groups on Facebook. And I've already, last year I probably got like 4 referrals from that. Wow. Just being on Facebook, different marketing, I would say marketing groups that pertain to real estate. Like, hey, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I need a Texas realtor. And they're just literally typing this. And I'm putting my information. There's like 100 agents responding and just hoping that you'll be the one that they call.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just constantly putting yourself out there. Yeah.
Right.
So is that natural for you? Is that easy for you to do, or did you have to kind of learn that trait?
I've always been, like I said, I always wanted to be an actor. So I've always been like not really shy, just kind of like, hey, it's me. You either shoot me down, I can take it. Of course I'm nervous, and I have to get over those jitters, but to put myself out there, and it's so crazy because a lot of people are very opinionated about me putting my whole life out there. They're like, why are you showing this? Why are you, and I'm like, I have to do this. I want people to get to know me. I want people to know I'm a real person. Because I get clients sometimes, they're like, I didn't know you was a real person until I went on your page, and I didn't want you to think, they basically thought I was possibly, not a real person because they may have to send me an application fee and things of that nature. So I would say you really need to put yourself out there because they don't really know who they're dealing with, especially if they're not in the state of Texas or if they're not in the metro area.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, people don't buy a house because of KW or whatever place that you work at. They buy a house because of you and who you are. And I think video is such a huge aspect to the industry now, but also social media. I mean, for the older people that may be watching that are real estate agents, you need to start getting into video. But being able to just be yourself, and I think that takes a lot of confidence. And I can just tell you have so much confidence in yourself and who you are.
Yeah.
And that's just a huge aspect to getting people to vibe with you and know, like, and trust you, because you're not going to get every single client, but there's going to be those people that vibe with you like, oh my gosh, I had the same exact thing happen. Like, you're my girl. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something I sent out yesterday, just about different ways to be able to get in front of people. And one of the big things I said was just be who you are on social media. Put yourself out there. People want to work with you because they know, like, and trust you, but also just because they know you're a real person. You're a real human being who's out here trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And wanting to help people.
Agreed.
So
you've been in the business for 6 years.
Yeah.
Success from the beginning has probably changed for you. What do you define as success?
So success for me is being happy with myself. It's been so many times in life where I compared myself to other people. I felt like I needed this big house or all these different cars, and always felt like I needed more to fill a void. But now for me, my mental clearness is the best thing that I can have at this moment in life, because like I said before, I've had times where I had a lot of money and I really just mentally out of it. Like, felt like everyone was draining me. Like, I just could not figure it out. And it's been times where I didn't really have much and I was happy in life. So I think that you have to define success within your inner self, being at peace with yourself. And I know it sounds cliche, but a lot of us, we're not at peace with ourselves. We're not happy with the things that we're doing because we're, succumb to the opinions of others. And I think I've done a very good job in saying, I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel about me. This is my success. This is how I'm going to build my life.
Yeah.
You either take it or leave it. And that's just how I feel, because I have some big goals in mind, but just because I accomplish those goals don't mean I'm successful. Am I successful at being who I am and people accepting me for who I am?
How long did it take you to come to that realization?
It's something I'm still working on.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years where I said, I can't please everybody. I cannot please everybody. I'm gonna drown myself, trying to help everyone. And so that's something that I am battling with to this day. Yeah.
What would you say in the years that you've been doing real estate, what's been like the lowest point in your career and how did you turn it around?
So I'm glad you brought this up because I wanted to talk about this. So it was at one point where, you know, being a realtor, like they say, you need to save anywhere from 6 months to 2 years of savings. Yeah. And it was at one point where I didn't have any closings on the board for the next couple months. And I'm just like, man, I need a deal. Like, I need to close a deal. I have to make something work. And so my back was against the wall. And I was just like, you know, I don't want to have to go back to a corporation. I can't give up on this thing that I believe in.
Yeah.
And so one day I said, you know what, let me just get on Zillow. Went on Zillow and I typed in Dallas and I typed in for sale by owners. And this lady, I called her. She was selling her property in Dallas. And she was like, hey, I'm getting a whole lot of wholesalers calling me. I need to sell within the next week or two. My dad just passed away. I'm going to sell at this certain amount. I said, well, I'm going to go. I'll come by your house tomorrow to have a conversation with you. Well, something told me you need to go by her house today. So I just gathered my stuff. I went by her house. And she said, look, you see all these people, they're just driving by. Like her house was a hot listing. Like it wasn't even on the market. Yeah. People were hounding her because it's in the heart of Dallas. And so she said, listen, I want somebody I can trust. And whoever I sign the contract with, you have to sell my house. I don't want a listing agent. I don't want to pay those fees. And I said, listen, I promise you I'll sell your house. And so we were locked up for 30 days. She gave me 30 days. She said, if you don't sell she was hardcore. She said, if you don't sell my house in 30 days, you're getting fired. And so basically I teamed up with another partner that was a wholesaler. And I said, hey, I have this seller, bring me an end buyer because you have a lot of buyers. He got 2 buyers. They both fell through. And so the last week, I'm like, you know, my savings is coming down. I'm like, man, like, I need this deal to work. And mind you, when I was partnering up with this buyer, the joint venture partner, I was only going to make $5,000 on this deal. It wasn't a lot of money at all.
Yeah.
And so come to find out, he couldn't get the deal closed. So I was like, my back is against the wall. It's on Friday. She said she's going to fire me on Monday. So I remember in my phone, I'm getting all these messages. And realtors, please answer your phone when those, you know, investors reach out to you. One of the investors had just hit me up. Hey, you got any off-market properties? I said, actually, I do. And they said, how much? What's the deal? I sent them all the info. And they said, how much? I talked her down to 110. I end up wholesaling it to them for 125.
Wow.
And so they said, hey, here's the thing. I said, I need this to close soon as possible, like Monday. And they was like, well, the investor, he's going to be in China. He's leaving out for the country for a week. I said, listen, I was just like, you know, I thought about it. I texted her again. I said, hey, how can we close today? They said, let's do it. And I have the messages. They said, we can close today. I was walking a property in McKinney with some other clients. My mind wasn't even focused. And it wasn't that I wasn't giving my clients my all. I just was in a scarcity mindset at that point.
Yeah.
And I called the seller. I said, hey, we can close today. She met me at the title company. I had $15,000 in my account that same day.
That's wild.
So that was a very low point in my life where I was like, I have to close a deal. And I end up from, you know, I could have been like, you know, it's not going to close. I'm going to get fired. And then it went from making $5,000 to making $15K. Yeah. And so after that, I said, oh, I'm taking wholesale serious. I'm working with investors. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. So you kind of spoke about a book earlier. Are there any books that have really helped change your career or helped mold your career?
Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold. I'm a big Grant Cardone fan because we have the same birthday.
So that's it?
No. Because when he talks, you can see the passion.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I'm a little biased. I'm an Aries, and I just feel like we're just passionate people in general. And I just love everything that he does and what he talks about, his investment portfolios and everything. And so his books are, mind changing, So yeah.
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 That's awesome. So what are some goals you mentioned earlier? You have goals. What are some of your goals for this year, for the next 5 years, for 10 years? What are you really striving towards?
So since this is coming out in a few weeks, I am working on my broker's license right now.
Let's go.
Because and I'm going to be a broker associate for a while. I don't want to build a firm right now, but I'm starting to do a lot of portfolios with landlords. And so that requires a whole different level of expertise that I'm having to deal with. So working on that, and my goal is to triple my business this year. So I would like to sell 100 homes. That's a big goal, but I do want to make at least $15 million in sales, this year. So those are some goals of mine. It's going to be tough to get there, but putting the right systems in place, staying on top of everything, and also I'm in the process of hiring a few people on my team to get me to that goal.
That's awesome. What do you want prospective sellers and buyers to understand about the market right now?
So the market is balancing a little bit. Rates are coming down. Sellers have to pretty much understand that, you're not going to get, 20 offers anymore. You may get a couple offers. And you may have to give up some closing costs, and I will work with sellers. I say, hey, listen, I'm going to present everything to you. I'm going to try to get you the best deal, but you have to compromise for the market that we're in. And as far as buyers, I'm letting them know, hey, we have DPA programs. We have 100% financing at 660 credit score. Let's get you in a home at little to nothing. We want you in with, just your earnest money, and hopefully you can get that credit back at closing. And, of course, you have to pay your inspection and things of that nature. But let's get you into a home little to nothing. Yeah. And, now that may shift in March and April and June. You may not be able to get as much closing costs if we go after a pre-existing home. But let's see what we can do. And I feel like the time is now, because once the rates really come down, you may be pushed back out the market. And so I would say to prospective buyers, let's start saving. Even if you're not coming out of pocket, let's have at least 3% of the sales price that you're going after in your savings account, because you may not know what happened. You may need those reserves and things of that nature, because anything can happen. Something can pop up on your credit report and you have to settle that debt. So I would say at least 3 to 5% of the sales price that you're going for.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like a whole profile on mortgage loans, when people come in, the people that have money, granted, you may not have to use it because of down payment assistance or whatever, but being able to have those reserves there just makes your file look so much better when we run it through AUS. And when people get denied, they think it's, I got denied because of this. No, you didn't get denied just because of one thing. There is a whole
picture.
There's a whole picture that the automated underwriting system looks at, and it's not just one specific thing. Like, you could have a bad credit score and just barely approvable, but have $160,000 in reserves. That looks way more beneficial to the underwriting system than, a 700 credit score and no reserves whatsoever. So there's a lot of things that you can do to make your file look better, but just being able to have reserves or get a gift from a rich uncle or a rich parent is just a huge deal that people just don't understand.
Yeah. So what would you say has been the most rewarding aspect of being a real estate agent for you?
You get a lot of free stuff, a lot of free events. I mean, it's like, getting taken out on a date every week or something. And, you have title companies and they want to take you out for coffee and, but, that's just minute things. But I would say the most rewarding thing is being able to help my clients accomplish the biggest goal of their life is buying that house. You know, I've worked with clients where, you know, they were nervous the whole time. They're like, hey, you know, are we really closing? And we're at the closing table and they're just tears.
Aww.
And that's what I do it for, because I want you to believe you can do it. And it's not as hard as people think. If you stay at a job for,
yes, agreed.
You stay at a job for 2 years, or if you're an entrepreneur like myself, you know, make sure you're paying your taxes. Make sure you have your ducks in order. It's just having your stuff in order. It's achievable. And so when I explain that to my clients and they are at that closing table and they get those keys, they're like, man, it really happened. It really happened. And I'm so happy for them, because it's something they didn't think they could accomplish. And when I say it's easier said than done. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking on taxes, all you self-employed people out there, quit writing everything off. Get with a mortgage loan officer to figure out, if you're going to buy a home in 1 year or 2 years, get with a loan officer. How we calculate taxes for your income is different than how CPAs write it. If you want to purchase a home, get with a loan officer. Talk with them before you file your taxes, please. It'll save you way more money in the long run. And then after you move into the house, write off whatever you want. We don't care. But to be able to purchase a home, just do it. You're either going to have to pay taxes and pay the money that way, or if you can't qualify, you're going to do a bank statement loan and you're putting 20% down. So do you want to pay it to the government or pay it to the house? Whatever you want to do, you choose that. But get with somebody before you purchase a home. Yeah. Sorry, I'll get off my pedestal now.
Oh, no, you're
soapbox.
So passionate.
So if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Man, don't give up. Don't give up. No matter how hard it is, how hard it may get, do not give up. And to never assume anything in life. You know, make sure that you stay the course. And there are going to be a lot of lessons. And you may have to repeat some of those things. But just because you're repeating a lesson doesn't mean that you can't bring something positive out of it. And so I would tell her, you know, go after everything and don't worry about anybody, because everyone is going to have something to say no matter what. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So one of our last questions that we really like to use to wrap up is when it comes to your identity, how you want to be remembered, the legacy that you want to leave. So when it comes to that, what do you want to be remembered by, and what do you feel like you have your identity in?
I want to be remembered as a dang good person, you know, like someone that I want people to know when you're with me, you're going to have a great experience. And I'm not just putting on a front. I really care about people. I really do. And I want people to know that if you are in the presence of me, it's going to get handled.
Yeah.
And if you put some type of opposition, she's going to take care of it. She handles business. She's on top of business. She's going to make sure it happens.
She's standing on business.
I'm standing on business.
Yeah.
And because I'm a firm believer, like, if we have a problem, let's fix it. You know, I want to be remembered as someone that, you know, she never took no. Like, she just went after it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the last thing that we want to allow you to do is just end the conversation with talking directly to the camera about what you want to say to your prospective client about how you can help them, who you are. And that's just kind of how we'll end it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Devi Ivory with Divine Realty Group and the owner of Devi Ivory Homes, LLC. I would love to help you buy or sell real estate. Please contact me. I'm so excited to work with you guys in the future. You have a great day.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming and giving us a little insight on what your life is. And it's amazing the things that you've been able to accomplish. And we know that you're going to accomplish so much more. So thank you so much for just spending time with us today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited where you guys are going to go. I just know this podcast is just going to blow up and it's going to go to a whole next level. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.